For people without high-end PCs or with less than 4 GB of RAM and i3 processors, there are PC games. So I've put up this list of the top 10 games that can operate on less than 4 GB of RAM to assist you guys find the finest titles. Every game on this list is the best, despite the fact that the genres and ranking are different. Let's start. Sniper, Ghost Warrior 3. Driving around in your Jeep in Sniper Ghost Warrior 3's open-world environment reminds one of Far Cry 2. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3's plot might have been lifted from a low-budget B-movie. You are John North, a ruthless shooter who has been assigned to eliminate a rebel cell in Georgia. Your cause is aided by the disappearance of Robert, an elite sniper, and Lydia, a mercenary who was raised in the conflict zone in Georgia. Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3's plot is centered on Max's later years. Max is all alone because his wife is dead and he has no family. He became dependent on booze. Its past, however, is terrible. He then departed New York. He formerly had a terrible life while being unemployed and alone. He receives an offer from an old friend, who he doesn't really know, though. He has to act as the bodyguard for a wealthy family in Brazil, which is known for its drug trafficking and corruption. He consents to the employment offer. However, things are not as easy as they seem. Once, at a family business gathering, a typical street gang showed up and attempted to kidnap Rodrigo and his wife. There is a lot more to it. Play to learn. Outlast 2. Red Barrels created and released The Outlast 2, a first-person psychological horror survival video game. The game is amazing and contains a ton of history in horror things like monsters. In order to investigate the murder of a pregnant lady known only as Jane Doe, a journalist by the name of Blake Langerman travels through the Arizona desert with his wife Lynn. A helicopter disaster separates Blake and Lynn from one another. However, Blake must locate his wife, who thinks that the end of the world is near, while passing through a village populated by a bizarre sect. Assassin's Creed 2. The conflict between the Templars and the Assassins provides the basis for the sequel. The tale of the Edenic Apple goes on. The first indications of Minerva, Juno, and Jupiter's secret burial chamber, where they might discover the reality behind the narrative of Eden, were discovered by Desmond and his team. They must delve further into the Italian Renaissance era, at the heyday of the Auditora family and the main character Ezio, in order to visit this chamber. The plot also leads you through a number of puzzles and hints, each of which reveals a bit of the truth and advances you toward the chamber and the fruit of Eden. Sleeping Dogs. Many years before they were released, Sleeping Dogs was originally intended to be a direct continuation of the true crime series. Fortunately, that never happened. Sleeping Dogs was created after a few modifications and several publishers. Some will claim that he is the true crime series' spiritual successor. Too brilliant to be restricted to a set that has already earned its death. The action of Sleeping Dogs takes set in Hong Kong, and as you advance through the ranks and cooperate with both parties, you must assume the role of an undercover cop with connections to a small number of triads. Life is Strange, Episode 1. The Back in Time and the System of Options are two themes that Life is Strange, an episodic visual adventure game, introduces. However, the game is stunning, beginning with the engrossing soundtrack and gorgeous visuals. The story is highly captivating, and the characters are deep. The player is required to make decisions as the plot develops, many of which will have long-term effects. It is a voyage that clarifies and shows us how our actions actually have an effect. The simplest things might have implications we never even considered. Far Cry 3. The villain in this game is one of the best and most endearing in the entire Far Cry series, bar none. There is no doubt that the villain will leave a mark on your mind. Played his part so well that I believed Far Cry 3 to be superior to Far Cry 4, despite the fact that Far Cry 4 included more features. Far Cry 3 has a lot to offer. Plants, wildlife, and precious equipment to upgrade your Jason can all be found in Rook Island. Additionally, you accomplish this by making useful products like medication, precious objects that can facilitate hunting, or ammo pouches. There are several different weapons available for purchase or discovery. I didn't come across any weapons that seemed weak. If you take your time and explore the amazing scenery and secrets the island has to offer, a single game run should take you well over 20 hours, and possibly even 30. The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is a third-person adventure game that airs in episodes. In the midst of a zombie apocalypse, the protagonist struggles to remain alive with a disjointed gang of survivors. The tale unfolds as you make your choices in this title, which functions similarly to an interactive comic. You can investigate interesting sites, work out puzzles, and engage with items and people in every brand new situation. Cell shading is used in the graphics to remove the comical streak, change facial expressions, and bring the rich, well-built characters to life. Mafia 2. An open environment, shops to rob or shop at, a police system, and many other features are all included in Mafia 2. But the game is much more structured than Mafia 1. There isn't a lot of side content, and the campaign is largely linear with limited opportunity for exploration. Additionally, the gameplay is simple to learn and includes both stealth missions and full combat. This game features some excellent gunfights. The police evasion strategy is far more arduous but ultimately more enjoyable. Prototype. The prototype is created when the open environment of GTA 4 is combined with the story of Crysis 2, and a protagonist who resembles a hybrid of the TF-1000 Parasite and a DC comic character. My favorite aspect of the gameplay is the superpowers. With so many techniques at your disposal, there are many ways to succeed in both the main quest and side quests. You use your enhanced talents to parkour the environment while walking across Manhattan. As it operates on low-end specs, it can also earn its spot among the top games for an i3 with 4 GB of RAM.